Broadcasting from the Thrive Time Show studios and the box that rocks, it is Tulsa's #1 CPA in every way. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take a look under your financial hood with Paul Hood.
I want money, lots and lots of money. I want the pie in the sky. I want money, lots and lots of money. So don't be asking me why. I want to be rich.
Show me the money!
Tulsa Country, welcome back to Look Under the Hood with Paul Hood. My name's Clay Clark. I'm the former U.S. SBA Entrepreneur of the Year. Sent here to really interrogate Paul Hood and to see if he can help you get into a great financial position. Now, today we're talking about the importance of knowing your weekly expenses. Now Paul, recently you were able to travel with a group of people from Tulsa to very left of Tulsa, to west of Tulsa, to California, I believe. What were you? What was this event that you teamed up with? You were talking about a little bit off the air. Tell the listeners what were you up to?
Yeah, Clay, one of the advantages of knowing your numbers and spending time and creating a system that can run without you is being able to take some time. And we did something called a Corsa Rally, and we took a bunch of our supercars. There's about 70 of us, and we just kind of had our own little parade at a rapidly moving parade. You have to look real quick because we were flying by. And we went to Vail, Colorado, and the next day we went to Salt Lake City. The next day we went to Vegas. They had
And what's this event called?
Corsa Rally. There's car rallies all over the place. They got one coming up actually in Europe, and they got one in Florida. It's just an excuse.
What kind of cars are in this line of cars?
Well, there was about 70, 75 cars, and probably 3/4 of them were either Ferrari or Lamborghinis, McLarens, a couple Ferraris. The joke is it's really funny because especially the Lamborghini guys, I'm kind of neutral.
Those Lamborghini guys,
they make fun of Ferrari guys because they never drive.
Can I get Steve Currington on your mic real quick here, just for a second here? Steve just hopped in the studio. Now Steve drives a Lamborghini, and we're gonna be talking about knowing your weekly expenses. But first, what does it cost to get into this event? Do you have to pay a fee? Do you have to get into this fee?
I'd have to ask my dad because it's his car, and then he pays for all the events.
Nice. What do you?
It was about $4,000, I think, for the whole. But that hotel, that's like events at night. That's kind of.
So, what kind of events do you do at night?
Well, some people, not me, but like when we went to Vegas, there was some. DJs are the hot thing right now. So there was some like DJ party. I don't even know who it was. If I told Chup and Marshall, they'd probably be like, "Oh my God, you didn't go to that?" But no, I don't know. There was
How old are the average people on this trip, on this tour?
Average?
Yes. Yeah, I know they were all different ages.
Like 40, 50 probably average. But, I mean, there was a guy, Alan, that was from Florida that was like probably 72, 73.
And all you guys are driving like Lamborghinis and Porsches and what? Ferraris, McLarens. And so what is the average cost of a car on this trip? Like, what is the average car? How much does the car cost? Because everyone's driving these cars. What does one of these cars cost?
About $250,000, you think? Somewhere around
$250,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then how fast are you driving on average?
Well, it depends on the driver.
Stop playing that game.
I don't know.
Yeah. Are you asking what we actually did or what we got caught doing?
I'm asking how fast did you top out at, Steve? What was the fastest speed?
I know it. I know
that
what
you
this
went
number
on
is.
this trip.
He's nuts.
Well, just so you know, Paul, I recently rewatched the footage.
Yeah.
And saw 203.
203.
So it was 201, and then I was like, no, I think it clicked over to 202.
Yeah.
But it clicked over to 20. Well, we did get pulled over in Kansas. Now, this was me and Paul and
shocking.
And Aaron Antis.
You're going 200. You're going 3 times the speed limit. The speed limit's 60.
Hey, we didn't just get pulled over. We got swarmed and
like by tons of cop cars.
Oh, they were waiting on the side of the road, pointing at us, saying, "Pull over." They were really nice.
Yeah.
Really, not understanding people. So they pull you over, and then what happened? What happened there?
They said, we're getting lots of reports of you guys speeding. And I'm like, who, me?
No. We were
How many cars are in a row?
I'm sorry.
How many cars are in a row?
This time it was just 3 of us. It was on our way, or 4 of us. It was on our way to the rally.
Oh, that's probably not smart. You got to have like a big row of like, 50 cars before they don't pull you over?
Yeah, but some people, other rallies, not this rally, because, these were really good people on this rally. We'll have like a group chat going,
Right.
and then there's like people that are
A
little
group chat while driving 202 miles an hour.
Well, you got a co-pilot, and the co-pilot's like, cops reported ahead, and then you're on Waze, and you can see, and then some guys don't pay attention to that, and so they get.
Are you just white knuckling the
Fernando.
entire time? Like, yeah. I mean, are you just, are you freaking out?
You know, honestly, I was just trying to keep up with Paul. I was just
I don't know about
focusing
that.
on the back of that orange McLaren.
Now, final question I have, and then we'll get into knowing your weekly expenses. Because the whole point of knowing your weekly expenses is so you can achieve financial freedom, so you can spend $4,000 driving your super expensive car on some caravan from the west to the West Coast. So Aaron Antis is with you guys. Now, Aaron
right.
Antis is very conservative. Aaron Antis and I actually share the same soul.
He did not speed.
So Aaron and I share the same soul. A lot of times, like if he's like, God, I need to go to bed, you can use the soul for the rest of the day. Or if it's vice versa, we just share one soul. We're very similar. So I would be driving like 55, 50.
yeah.
I'd crank it up to 58 and a 60 and that kind of thing. So let me ask you, so how fast did Aaron go?
The speed limit.
He kept up with us.
I don't think he did.
This is what happened. This is in all reality. This is what happened.
Yeah.
Some of us would pull over and take a break,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
and then other people would catch up.
Right.
I'm not saying Aaron doesn't speed, but
Aaron does the speed
did
limit.
not drive at the same level of speed as
Good job, Aaron.
some of
Good job, Aaron.
Well, in Aaron's defense, though, his co-pilot kind of, his wife, Sweetie, but I think she kind of.
She might have had her
tempered him
hand
down a
on
little
his leg saying,
She may-
slow down.
Yeah,
I don't
his
know.
neck,
I don't know.
or his neck.
Yeah,
Hey, Clay, when we got stopped in
She
Kansas,
also shares my soul.
yeah, when we got stopped in Kansas,
Yeah.
the sheriff actually came around on my left. He was, and just flying in, and then he comes up and he's really nice, and he said I love this comment. He said, "Thank you for pulling over, but I was kind of hoping that you would take off and keep going so I could test how fast my car would go." I didn't know.
That's to say, hey, I'm glad you guys pulled over because if you hadn't, it would have gotten interesting.
Getting fun.
That's what the one said to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
It would have got interesting. And I'm
Well,
like, what's
then
that mean?
We got stopped in Colorado, and the guy, I said, "Hey, how you doing?" Handed my stuff, and he said, "Well, I'm doing a whole lot better than you're going to be doing in a few minutes."
Whoa.
That's usually not what you want to hear. That was not, but I was doing good when it left.
That was
Just got a
the
warning.
1 mile of the entire rally that Paul was in the lead.
That was in the lead.
He got pulled over like,
Currington.
immediately.
The rumor is Currington called ahead because I was in the lead and said, it's just one of those.
You know what the rumor is? The rumor is, and these are reported by the Antises text their phone,
It is. We have proof.
that they were calling the police on us. Mm-hmm. So they're like at the
So
back
they
of the
could
rally,
keep
and they're like, there are some people that are driving at a high rate of speed in front of us. Now, it's not us. We're in the Corvette. But there are many other supercars that are driving. And we're like, Aaron, did you report us to the police? Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yes. So I think we had a...
I'm going to have to kick you off the mic now. We're talking about expenses now. So, okay, so here we go.
right.
So we're talking about the importance of knowing your weekly expenses as discussed in your book, A Look Under the Hood, Paul. So
Yes.
you write here in your book, when you're talking about weekly expenses, you write here, once the deep dive process happens to reduce current expense amounts as much as possible, total expenses and certain key indicator expenses need to be reported on your proactive financial dashboard against budgeted amounts. The point is, you got to know what your weekly expenses are. What percentage of your clients, before they do a deep dive with you, actually know their weekly expenses previous to this deep dive with you?
Virtually none, Clay. And it's the funniest thing because, we always talk about for success, it's not that complicated. You start with the end in mind, you define your goal, you create a plan, you execute your plan, you measure your results, and then you refine your plan. The strange thing is 99% of the people that come into my office don't even know where they want to go. They don't know their goals. They don't know. They just, I want to be successful. I want to make money, but they don't quantify it. And we have to quantify where you want to go, and then we have to measure where you're going as you go that way so you can compare your actual with your budget so that you see if you're on track.
Marshall Morris, the business coach and the co-author of the Amazon best-selling book, Start Here, is with us. And Marshall, you coach a lot of clients, and a lot of clients, they're just having a massive success now. But when you first sit down with a client, what percentage of your clients actually know all of their weekly expenses?
I would say none of them.
Okay, so how do you as a coach help somebody figure out their weekly expenses?
So this is what you got to do. And I just recently did this with one of my clients, and it was just a game changer for them. You got to print off,
math.
not pull up on your cell phone, not pull up on your desktop computer, but you have to print off all of your credit card charges, your debit card
it's in
charges.
QuickBooks. But it's in QuickBooks.
No,
My
no,
account
it's
handles
not.
that.
It's not in QuickBooks.
No, it's in
you
the
got
QuickBooks.
you got to print it off, and then you got to go line item by line
But I'm
item.
trying to save paper. It's all in QuickBooks. I got an
Nope,
app on my phone. It just syncs all right up
What
there.
you got to
I got
do?
mint.com.
No. What you got to print it off and highlight every single one of the expenses, and this takes hours to do. So you got to block off the time, go through, and create a weekly expense report for your business.
Now, this is something I've seen. I've done this with a lot of businesses. When you say, let's determine your expenses for the last 90 days. I have seen this take people, I'm just saying, this is a realistic expectation for all the listeners out there. I've seen it take, I remember one husband-wife team, they told me it took all Saturday and all Sunday, 8 hours a day, 16 hours. They skipped church to do this. And they got to the end of it and they realized we're not making any money at all, like ever, under any circumstance. Wow. Because I don't think people realize that by default, every single listener out there, you're just going to break even. Somehow. Doesn't matter how much money you earn. According to Forbes, and I want to put this on the show notes, Chubb. We'll cite it and put it on the show notes. Does it blow your mind, Paul, that according to Forbes, the average American has less than $400 saved, regardless of their income and regardless of their age?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. Clay, there's something psychological. We spend what we get, and whether it's in business or personal, and that's why we try to teach people. One of the first things after we do this deep dive and we try to look for savings for expenses is we try to do everything but get them in a headlock to pay themselves first. Kind of like when you have a job and you have a 401k, it comes out of your paycheck first. You don't see it. And so we teach business people to do that as well, because what happens is 10 years from now, whether you do or you don't, your business is going to be in the same place. But if you do pay yourself first and put some money aside, pay that first 3% at least, then you'll have six figures.
I just want to make sure everybody out there takes this action item. There's 2 action items, 2 action steps everyone needs to take right now. 1, make a list of all of your expenses for the last 90 days. Do it one time. I challenge you. Do it one time. All of your expenses for the past 90 days. If you do it, you will be the first client that Paul has seen in years that has done this previous to meeting with him. Step 2, you want to automate your savings. Get a hold of your financial advisor. Get a hold of your spiritual leader. Get a hold of your old baseball coach. Get a hold of somebody and say, somebody, set this up for me. You've got to do it. And once you automate the savings of 3% at minimum, Paul, what happens?
Well, what happens is you harness. Everybody's heard about the negative side of like credit card and interest and compound interest.
Right.
So when you start paying yourself, you harness that to your favor. And so what you do is what we try to do when we're doing financial plans is we either harness risk, we transfer risk, or we mitigate risk. And when you're accumulating, you want to harness risk. So up and down is in your favor, and you almost can't lose. So you get that power of compound interest working in your favor instead of against you.
Now, this is something, Chup, I want to share. I want to go back to cars for a second there, Chup.
Cars. Love cars.
I'm a car expert.
Because I sincerely don't think about things that most people think about. This is just a funny example. Yesterday, my wife and I were driving on a date. We're going on a date. Went to Los Cabos out in Broken Arrow.
Ooh, spicy.
Then I went to Han Appliance to buy a TV to give away for Elephant in the Room.
Ooh, spicy.
And so we're going out there on our date. And I'm driving like probably 50 miles an hour on 169. Because I don't care what the speed limit is. I just know when we're supposed to be at Los Cabos. So I'm just driving at the speed needed to get there. I don't care. But it's funny that everybody else, the speed limit says here's the limit. It says this is the limit. The fastest you can go is, I think on 169 it's like 65 or something. What is on the creek? Is it 65 or something? Anyway, there's a speed limit that says
75, 65.
But I mean, I'm saying it posts the limit though, like 65. And by default, everybody drives 5 miles over that limit.
Maybe 7.
But I'm telling you, this is, if you look around though, notice everybody tries to drive 4 miles over. And that's what people do with their income. Regardless of how much money they make, it says you make $65,000 a year, and people will try to spend $69,000 a year. People just do it, and then you get pulled over. Woo! Your debit card gets declined. Your credit card maxes out. Then you go, oh, but this is what happens by default. That's why everybody needs to schedule a one-on-one consultation with an accountant. And I'd highly recommend you check out Paul Hood with hoodcpas.com. Now, for a limited time, Paul is going to be providing a copy of Warren Buffett's only authorized biography, Snowball. You get a free book, an hour of a financial planner's time, all just by scheduling an appointment with Paul Hood and his Look Under the Hood team at hoodcpas.com. That's hoodcpas.com. Stay tuned. And now, broadcasting from the Thrive Time Show studios and the box that rocks, it is Tulsa's #1 CPA in every way. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take a look under your financial hood with Paul Hood.
Money, lots of money. I want the pie in the sky. I want money, lots of money. So don't be asking me why. I want to be rich.
Show me the money!
All right, Hood Nation, welcome to A Look Under the Hood with Paul Hood. My name is Clay Clark. I'm America's #1 and most humble business coach, joining Paul each weekend to discuss how to get you into a great situation financially. Now, on page 49 of his book, A Look Under the Hood, Paul talks about the importance of knowing your weekly expenses. Now, this is something I want all the listeners to do one by one. I'm going to tell you the expense you need to know about. I'm going to have Paul break down what it means, but I want everybody to get out a sheet of paper, a pen, an Etch-a-Sketch, a typewriter. Perhaps there's somebody out there who writes eloquently in Braille. That's awesome. Here we go. You want to know all of your fixed weekly costs. Paul, what's an example of the fixed costs? What are fixed costs?
A fixed cost is a cost that you're going to incur whether you sell one unit of whatever or service. You don't make $1. It would be rent, something that's stable. You know, I tell people to take, say, the last 6 to 18 months and list out everything. And the fixed expenses are the ones that don't change much. They don't vary. They just kind of stay the same.
I'm going to list out some if I can.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah.
For the Clark family, these are just fixed expenses we have. Medical insurance is expensive for us because we have 5 kids, 2 adults, 5 kids, a couple pre-existing things. That's a lot. That's a lot right there. Boom. Some people spend hundreds. We spend thousands. Medical insurance is expensive every month.
Yeah.
Then you say, gosh, a couple thousand? Yeah. I mean, that's like I got to, earn probably $25,000 a year just to cover health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go food. And the thing is, my kids, we've decided to feed them.
No.
I don't know if you guys agree with this idea. This is a philosophy. We've got into, feeding our kids. And my wife's into that organic stuff to go into Whole Foods. And so whatever you would spend like at research, you double that. You know what I mean? So now you're up to like, it really is. It's expensive. So you got like almond milk. Now almond, just so we get this, I don't quite grasp this, but an almond to me is a dried item. Have you seen almonds, Chuck?
Yeah, I enjoy almonds.
Yeah, like your amygdala, the emotional part of your brain is about the size of an almond, right? Okay,
Shape, yeah.
And the almond causes me to get emotional. The almond causes it's the suckle. The almond causes my
oblong.
amygdala.
Right.
Because when I see that almond milk that we were buying in that fridge, like this morning I wake up and open that fridge, I open it up and I look in there and the light comes on in the fridge. I look in there, and then I go, oh, because I see that almond milk, and I know what that almond milk is. Almond milk right now, Chuck. Chuck, have you bought some almond milk?
I'm assuming it's like $48.
Have you bought some almond milk
No,
recently?
I have not.
Why?
How do you milk an almond? What is this?
This is what I'm saying.
I don't understand.
Let me tell you what. The process of milking an almond is the process. Chuck, you keep it clean. I'm not letting you get into the gutter this morning. The process of milking an almond is expensive, apparently. And so if we're going to drink that almond milk, we're going to be dropping, I don't know what it costs right now. I have to look up the price of almond milk at Whole Foods right now. But that's a fixed expense. A lot of people don't think about food, cost of living, right? And then it's like
Your mortgage, those
different
different things. Yeah.
people don't think about
payment,
this. Car payment.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What are some other fixed expenses, Paul? People just do not think about, but they're real.
Well, it could be your cell phone bill. It could be things that don't vary based on production or based on food could be. Now I had 3 boys, and my boys could put away food, so their food for me was a variable cost because as they got older, they ate a lot more. And we couldn't keep it in there. So, it's just things that just don't go up and down very much. Like you said, health insurance, you kind of set it, and your mortgage, your car payment, Utilities, sometimes now you can get on the fixed amount that doesn't change instead of it varying up and down. So those are the things, though, that's kind of the line in the sand that you've got to cover before you can put anything in doing fun things or putting money in saving.
Chuck, this just in from our home office off the left coast of the Arkansas River. What is the cost of almond milk?
So a jug of almond milk containing roughly 39 cents worth of almonds will retail for $3.99.
Right. There
So
that's
quite a bit more.
my amygdala fires up.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that if you have these fixed expenses, you got to know those. Now the second area is you got to know all your variable expenses. Now Marshall, we've worked with our business coaching program at ThriveTimeShow.com. We work with people all the time that have variable expenses. Now, variable expenses are different than fixed because why, Marshall?
Because these are going to relate to how many of a particular product or service that you sell. So as you sell more stuff, your expenses are going to go up. So this is going to be the cost of customer acquisition.
You handle some of the payroll aspects there for Elephant in the Room. So talk about the variable costs that use variable expenses you might see at Elephant in the Room.
So at Elephant in the Room, if we don't have anybody that we're booking for a haircut, then we're not going to need all of the products that we use to do those haircuts. So we're not going to need the shampoo. We're not going to need the conditioner. We're not going to need the...
Did you say shampoo? That's not...
We're not going to need the face moisturizer. We're not going to need all
you
these
talking
things.
my language,
Paraffin wax.
Paraffin wax. Mojitos with Martha on a Wednesday.
Straight raises.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
And so
good.
these are all variable expenses that will go up with the number of things that you sell.
So things like the materials for the goods sold, things like your labor put into manufacturing those goods, those things that change with those services or products.
Now, the final kind of the area of expenses you really want to know, and Chuck, I want to get your take on this, is it's those sneaky, easy to forget about expenses. A lot of people, they're sneaky, easy. I would put insurance into this category. I think a lot of business owners, because business owners, they always are chintzy on their insurance. Let me just give an example. I have been robbed numerous times. I've had probably $100,000 of equipment stolen from me when I ran DJ Connection. People don't realize that. I'd have like an entire trailer stolen. I would have, I remember one of the DJs who I no longer speak to, thankfully. This guy drove back from a show in Dallas and he left the tailgate down on his truck.
Oh my God.
And the Impro speakers fell out of his car. Tumbling down the highway, and they hit a lady in a minivan who had to swerve going like 60-something miles an hour. She spins out of the... she could have got killed. We destroyed the speakers, obviously destroyed her car. These are things that
These are sneaky little hidden costs. Some other things might be those monthly subscriptions.
Oh, come on now.
Software subscriptions, updates, all these things.
Give me more sneaky ones.
And another sneaky one is you not paying attention to your company cards. And you've got employees running around with credit cards just swiping for whatever they want.
Give me more sneaky ones, Marshall.
I got sneaky ones.
Oh, he's sneaky.
So you think that you're paying an employee $12 an hour.
He's so
but
sneaky.
Really,
he's so sneaky.
But really, it's going to cost what, Paul? Maybe double?
Yeah,
double that
double.
when you factor in all of the payroll taxes, the payroll
Marshall,
expenses.
that's so sneaky. That's so sneaky. Tell me how this is so sneaky.
It's so sneaky because when you are actually doing your budget, you budget for $12 an hour, but only at the end of the month or at the end of the pay period are you factoring in all those extra expenses, and they sneak up on you.
And you new business owners out there, new entrepreneurs, pay attention to this. I see this all the time with startups or newer companies. They're only kind of figuring in, well, if I do this service, it's $15 an hour. I'm like, whoa, dude, it's like $27 an hour because you've got all different kind of costs there.
Yeah, and you also, Clay, you have to watch out for wasted time.
Watch out.
Or loss of clients. Because if somebody comes in with a bad attitude, maybe they, didn't get to go on the Corsa rally and drive their supercar, and they're ticked off. And so that your client comes in and what they should be doing and taking care of business, they kind of ignore the client or whatever the patron that's coming in. Or they're sitting on Facebook, so you can't. If we could get 100% productivity, then maybe the cost of an employee would be closer to what you pay them. But literally, you have to factor in about double what your hourly rate is.
Put this on the show notes, please. This article is called "Wasting Time at Work: The Epidemic Continues." Currently, right now, Forbes magazine has done research on this. This is what's crazy. is they're saying right now 89% of employees now say they are definitely wasting time at work.
That's
89%.
a lot
Now,
of
I'm going to give you a fun story that's soul sucking. Can I give you a fun story that's
Talk to
I'm
us.
going to share a soul sucking story, but in a fun way.
All right.
So there's a client of mine, and she's a great lady. And so what she decided to do was to put cameras up. She put cameras.
Cameras?
Once upon a time, a week ago, a lady who's a client of mine put up cameras in her office. And much to her surprise, Marshall, and via her little app there, she was able to look with her eyes and to see the guys doing everything but working. So as soon as she leaves, they literally begin not working. One employee went as far as she wore a dress to work. She goes to the bathroom, changes, comes out, is wearing like soccer shorts and like just basically goes into like a T-shirt, has tennis shoes on, and begins immediately going on to Facebook, calling people, literally changes clothes because she knows the boss is gone. The other lady says to her, she says, "Hey, when's she coming back?" And she said, "Oh, Tuesday." She says, "All right, I'm going to go out. I'm going to head out. I got to leave early to get." So these people are leaving work on a Friday, knowing the boss is out. The boss left at like 9 a.m. or so, 9 a.m.-ish. These people, by 10 o'clock, there wasn't a single person even in the building for the entire day, and all of them are on salary. And this lady calls me panicking on Friday. She's like, "What do you do? What do you do?" I said, "This is normal if you don't have cameras in your office. This is 89%. Now, I said, "If you listen to the calls," she said, "No." And I said, "Oh, don't do that yet. You're ready. You're ready for you're ready to do that when you get back. But you've got to monitor. You have to measure what you treasure. That's my whole point here, Paul. You have to measure what you treasure. You have to know the reality. Do you not have to know the reality, Paul?
You do. Clay, I have a story real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I had a remote office, and I would have clients call me and say, "Hey, your office is closed." I said, "No, I just talked to her on the phone." Girlfriend that I hired was forwarding my phone to her house and locking the door. So, yeah, that happens all over the place. But if you don't monitor that, I remember when I was in high school, I worked at a toy store, and the boss left, and me and a couple guys played wiffle ball,
Because that's what you do.
Yeah,
that's what you do. Now, here's the deal. Here's the deal, Hood Nation. If you want to get on top of your financial situation, you really need to stop the procrastination. Go to hoodcpas.com. Go to hoodcpas.com. Schedule your one-on-one consultation and get a free copy of Warren Buffett's book, Snowball. Check it out at hoodcpas.com, hoodcpas.com.